Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing to you the original arcade version of Donkey Kong, played on an actual Nintendo 64 while trying to record footage for Donkey Kong 64. This is currently one of only two ways to play the arcade original on a Nintendo system. The other way is to boot up the Arcade Archives re-release on the eShop. Apart from that, it's really silly how the first time players could experience the arcade original without the NES re-release was through Donkey Kong 64 as a mandatory minigame required to get the credits. Yeah, I won't be re-reviewing Donkey Kong 64 anytime soon. Expect for me to buy it on the Wii U Virtual Console before anything of the sort happens. So this is actually the very first game that Mario was ever in, even though back then he was called Jumpman. His objective is to save Pauline from an oversized gorilla named Donkey Kong. And that's pretty much the extent of the story, but back then you didn't really need a whole lot of stories to sell you on the gameplay, and for once, I'm kind of okay with it. Even if it was Shigeru Miyamoto that did this, and you know how he is with stories. That being said, this game may hold historical significance for being Mario's entrance into the gaming world, but for a man called Jumpman, he sure can't jump. Mario's jumping height is abysmal, and he even takes fall damage in a 1981 game. Not only that, but Mario dies in one hit. You can't correct his jumps like you could in Super Mario Bros. There's only 4 levels. The NES version only had 3, so this conveyor belt level is a bit of an added bonus to anyone not playing the NES version. And there's also cutscenes, not that they're very good. The first cutscene just shows Donkey Kong climbing up the girders and bending them out of shape so that it's harder for Mario to climb up and save Pauline, and the others are Donkey Kong grabbing Pauline and dragging her to the next stage. There's only 4 levels, so the game is over really quickly. The problem is that it controls really awful, sounds really awful, with some of the worst music in Nintendo's history, and when you're playing it on the Nintendo 64 Donkey Kong 64, you only have 1 life, and to add insult to injury, if you're trying to get the credits of Donkey Kong 64, you have to beat this twice, with the second version having Pauline replaced by the Nintendo coin, which is really weird either way, because one, why is an ape trying to capture a human? Second, why is an ape trying to capture a coin? Does it really have a use for either of those things? Strange logical implications aside, there's not really any redeeming features to Donkey Kong in general, either on NES or on the arcade. In fact, while most games I usually like to praise for having new content, and if a re-release removes content, such as New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe removing the Wii U specific levels from the challenge mode, normally I'm a huge fan of that, because it's like, okay, if you're going to re-release a game, add more to it so that buyers of the original have more to do. In this case, I think I actually prefer the NES version just because you can get to the action a lot more quickly without having to deal with the annoying startup screen every single time. And you also don't have as many levels to deal with. You can just say, good riddance, I'm finally over this and I can get back to playing Donkey Kong 64, which admittedly, that's not a particularly good game either, but it's a heck of a lot better than this. I just wish that Rare had, given some more thought as to what kind of audience would be playing this minigame, as it really stinks that they had to set it in such a setting that would make it so that you'd only have 1 life, you wouldn't be able to have any continues, there wasn't an artificial coin refiller or anything like that. Whether it's laziness or Nintendo 64s weren't exactly known for emulation at the time, I don't know. I just think if you've played Mario's other platforming adventures and seen how far he has come, you would probably be appalled that this is how he started his life. Now you could say, but Paul, it's an old arcade game, everything has to start somewhere. It's one thing if that's where it has to start and you can just avoid paying quarters, but it's another if it's a mandatory part of another game. If this was just a throwaway mode that you could unlock in Donkey Kong 64 as a bonus, that would be cool. But to be forced to play it twice to beat the game, that's just cruelty. And the game's not even good for that matter. It's, at most, a historical significance piece, but I don't tend to like that. So with that, I give the arcade version of Donkey Kong my lowest recommendation. If you have to play this, if you're a diehard Paul, I am a historian, I must see Mario's origins even if you say it's terrible, then either get it on the Wii U Virtual Console so you can save anywhere so you don't have to keep pulling the lever in front of the arcade machine over and over again, or get the Arcade Archives version, which I have not tested, but I imagine it also has stuff like save states and rewind, but the original version on the Nintendo 64, just skip it. With that, thank you very much for watching. If I somehow missed out on anything in this really short and simple game, let me know in the comment section, and until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and future game designers, make your minigames either optional or actually fun. Bye!